Hello and good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. Excuse me. Hi, my name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Just amazing, absolutely amazing to have you along for the ride. So much to get into today. Vic Fangio addressed the media yesterday. A lot of defensive players addressed the media yesterday, including Jordan Davis, including Jalen Carter, and Devin White. All the reports out of training camp as far as the offense have gone in the first 2 days have been glowing. Now, again, it's training camp. Nothing, just the installs, working the bugs out, all that stuff. But so far, there has been no red flags about the offense. Yesterday, we had our first play of Cam Jurgens being able to get downfield and provide some blocking, getting to that next level, just like that Jason Kelsey fella from last year, and many years prior. It's been all glowing regarding the offense so far, as far as what's been going on the field. I have a lot of questions about how this defense is going to look under Vic Fangio in the upcoming season. And yesterday, Vic Fangio emerged as my favorite character so far to speak to us in the 2024 year. With training camp, of course, now underway. In my mind, the 2024 season actually begins. I know you can talk about the new calendar starting for the NFL in March and all that and free agency and everything, but when the 2024 Eagles step foot on the field, really for the first time, it's training camp. And so far, what I've been hearing from everyone on defense is that Vic Fangio's attitude and the way he goes about coaching and handling his players is a breath of fresh air. Now, you could say easily, talk to me in week 8 when he's hypercritical and he's critiquing too many players and he's calling guys out and see how they like that if there's any struggles. Well, okay, fine. Well, then when that day comes, we'll address it. But as of right now, he doesn't seem to be rubbing anybody the wrong way. And his approach of what is always termed, and I hate that it's termed this, but old school mentality. One of my favorite quotes in the history of Philadelphia sports is from Charlie Manuel. And Charlie Manuel will get asked about Chase Utley. I just used him as an example. But the quote in particular was talking about Chase Utley and about Chase Utley's hustle and how he busts it on every play and all that stuff. And Charlie would always say, that's not old school, that's good school. And I believe the reporter phrased the question with, what do you think about that old school mentality of Chase Utley? And it's not old school. It's good school. Like, even in the old school, like, I don't know in your mind what the old school is. God forbid it's the 90s. But, just the 80s, the old school, that old school mentality. I like to think of it as like the 50s, okay? I go way old school. But when you think about the old school, there were lazy people in whatever era you have termed as the old school. There have been people that have done as little as possible just to get by, to maintain whatever their status is. They've done as little as humanly possible. They were lazy, but that was still in the old school, but that wasn't old school mentality. So that's why what really goes throughout time is good school. Working your ass off, maximizing your potential. And that's what Vic Fangio is asking of every one of his defensive players. And one of the things that really just hit me yesterday when I was listening to him speak, and in minicamp, we heard from Jalen Carter. In minicamp, we heard from Jordan Davis. We heard from Devin White when he came here to the Philadelphia Eagles, just talking about the type of mentality that Vic Fangio has with this defense. And all in all, the most welcomed thing from yesterday wasn't just the idea, because we knew what his attitude was supposed to be, but it was good to hear Eagles players talk about it in such a positive light. But the thing that really stuck out to me yesterday was these aren't first-time Tommies. These aren't this isn't Sean Desai being like, well, I think I know how to run a defense. I've done it once. This wasn't Jonathan Gannon where I barely have done this before. This was a guy with 25 years of experience under his belt in the NFL. This is the guy that coached the Philadelphia Stars, for crying out loud. Okay? He's got a lot of experience. And it's good to just sit back and listen to a guy that's like, I've been around this block many, many times. I've been baited by reporters to say certain things, and maybe I've made those mistakes in the past, maybe in my first couple of years, but this ain't my first rodeo. You want to ask me about swagger? What? I don't give a damn about swagger. You want to ask me about analytics? Yeah, I love analytics, but I got my own analytics. That was such, I mean, okay, you want to talk about old school, whatever the case might be, that might be the most old school, quote unquote, thing I heard from Vic Fangio yesterday. Yeah, I got my own analytics. Why do I get the feeling that his own analytics just is a guy's name and next to it sucks or good? You know, this guy's good, that guy sucks. This guy's good, that guy sucks. Analytics. I got two guys that suck. I got one guy that's good. Okay, over there I got another guy that's good. This other guy sucks. Analytics. All right. There was also one point during the press conference yesterday, and I stood up and applauded because it drives me crazy. And this is this might be too inside baseball for people, but it just drives me crazy. It drives me crazy in basketball too, but in football, especially in training camp. The Philadelphia Eagles have this beautiful auditorium. It has microphones in it. It has a place where you can sit down and listen well. They have that right there, a couple of feet away from where they're doing the outdoor press conferences. And they do the outdoor press conferences right next to where they assemble all the fans for like post-practice autographs and pictures and meet and greets and sponsorships and all that stuff. All that's right next to the people talking that you're trying to hear. And Vic Fangio, I don't like the PR staff. I think does a great job for the Philadelphia Eagles. I know they're on top of stuff, but this is just for whatever reason, the area they have determined to have press conferences, and it drives me bonkers. To relate it to the basketball now, in basketball, I hate how they have press conferences or media sessions on the court while like 10 other players are dribbling basketballs and trainers are making noise and all that stuff. Like, I'm trying to listen. Anyway, so Vic Fangio during the press conference yesterday was like, "Can we do something about the noise?" That's like, it reminded me of my dad. Hey, let's quiet down over there. Keep it down to a roar. That was a big Joe Farzetta line right there. Keep it down to a roar. Now, talking about inside baseball, that's inside my childhood. But listening to Vic Fangio yesterday, it felt so good to listen to somebody who has all the experience that he has and not somebody being like, yeah, I think I know what I'm doing. No, he absolutely knows what he's doing. And you can take it or leave it. I've talked about many times watching in-season Hard Knocks of the Miami Dolphins last year. This to try to get a little inside what Vic Fangio likes to do, how he is with his players. And yeah, everything is pretty much true as far as being hard on his players and all that stuff. But the thing that really stuck out to me was when there was a defensive dinner going on. And everyone sitting around the table was talking about Vic Fangio and how around the NFL, people run the Vic Fangio defense. They run the Vic Fangio scheme. And as a player, that can be kind of tough because the communication has to be so high. There might be certain instances where you feel like you want to be aggressive and you should be aggressive, but you're being asked to peel back a little bit. Maybe switch off if you're an outside corner, switch off on a guy going inside, switch off to the nickel switching off maybe to the safety switching off to the other outside corner, stuff like that. Quarters defense, you'll hear a lot about. Non-blitzing, you'll hear a lot about. But as far as those players speaking about Vic Fangio's system that they were then learning and running, they talked about the freedom. Like once you understand how everything works, how one domino falls and hits another, once you understand that, you can improvise a little bit. You have some freedom. And if you feel like, okay, now this is my chance to be aggressive because my man has gone out of my area, now I can be aggressive. Now maybe that running back that's coming up out of the backfield, I can jump up and pick off a pass in the flat and take it to the house, something like that. When they spoke about Vic Fangio's defense, they spoke about, it takes a minute to really understand how it all works. But once you understand how it all works, you have a certain amount of freedom. Right now, Vic Fangio is wasting no time. What he installed in minicamp, he expects his players to know like the back of their hand. And he talked about that yesterday. And now he is talking about taking that next step forward with a lot of the players on the defense, his starting unit and the reserves as well. And listening to him speak about it yesterday, it felt like these guys better be ready for a well-oiled machine and a man that knows how to run that machine. And listening to Jordan Davis talk about him, he appreciates the type of communication Vic Fangio has with his team. Devin White spoke. I really enjoyed what Devin White had to say about Vic Fangio and in general what he had to say about being a leader on this team. Now think about this from a Devin White perspective. Devin White's been around a little bit. He's worked for some tough guys. He was down with Todd Bowles, obviously, in Tampa. So he's learned defensive schemes that have had success in the NFL. And now he's being thrust in the middle of a Vic Fangio defense, quite literally the middle. A couple of things from that yesterday. One, Devin White's your starting middle linebacker. The Nakobe Dean experiment seems to have come and gone rather quickly. The only way Nakobe Dean is going to find his way onto the field this year is as a starting outside linebacker, which I think a lot of people had him slotted anyway. I had him more in that range as well. But Devin White is not only going to be your starting middle linebacker this year, which again, we kind of knew going into it. He's also going to be a leader on this team. Devin White told a story yesterday about how before they showed up at training camp, he texted, he started a group chat. And the group chat, he sent a picture of a empty glass, like a drinking glass. And he said, hey, every day, let's pour into it. Okay. All right. Good message. Fine. I think it was Zach Berman that asked the follow-up question. Hold on a second. Group chat? Who's on the group chat? You know who's on the group chat with Devin White? A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. That's the group chat. So if you're a defensive player, Devin White's looking around at you and be like, I'm the leader of this unit. This side of the football, I'm your guy. I thought that was very bold. When he was asked why, he said, oh, I've known those guys for a long time. Okay, fine. But those are two guys that are looked at as already pretty solidified leaders on this team. A.J. Brown in particular. You can say whatever you want about A.J. Brown. The way the locker room looks at him, that man's a leader. Jalen Hurts is a guy that is developing into more of that vocal leadership role, but as the quarterback of the team, no doubt, he is the leader. And I don't want to go down the avenue of like, oh, is he a leader? Is he not a leader? And go down that tired subject. And I hate when people talk about that at length when they're not physically in the locker room as a player. That's one of the things I try to step back as breaking news, someone who didn't play in the NFL. But when it comes to Devin White assuming that role, you want a guy. You want that guy to be coming in as a middle linebacker of this football team and want the role of a leader. And not because of rah-rah speeches or anything, but because of follow me. I'm a veteran. I've had success in this league. I can show you what it takes to win. Follow me. Not flipping tables over, not necessarily getting in guys' faces, not holding other people accountable, but hey, I'm going to be the precedent. I'm going to set that bar for everybody. And Devin White coming in here and just assuming that role immediately and putting himself at the same level as Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown when it comes to leadership, have at it. Because I don't see anybody else on the defense doing it. Yeah, sure, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson I see going out there and being vocal, certainly. Holding people accountable, maybe. But mostly worried about himself. And not in a selfish way, but just making sure he does his job right. Darius Slay has done a wonderful job of being a leader and taking younger guys under his wing. I reiterated yesterday how Quainion Mitchell was joking about moving in with Darius Slay. And Slay was like, yeah, come on in, man. We got a room. That's all great stuff. But as far as getting the job done every single day on the field, Devin White wants the responsibility of being the leader. And I applaud him for it. Because with Devin White, a lot of times new guys, this isn't my team yet. I just got here. And he's like, the hell with that. I'm texting the quarterback. I'm texting AJ. This is going to be part of I'm going to be part of this show. And I love that type of mindset. Love that type of mentality. But he also talked about Vic Fangio holding people accountable. And this is something that kind of gets thrown around a lot. Oh, no, he holds people accountable. Sean Desai holds people accountable. Jonathan Gannon holds people accountable. But you really don't hear too many things in depth about it. Devin White broke it down yesterday. We'll listen to it coming up in a little bit. As far as Jordan Davis goes, he talked about the shape that he's in. He's in a much better place than he was when he left. I know the pictures went viral from the Eagles' autism challenge. Him signing autographs, looking rather svelte, lean even. I'm like, all right. Somebody's taking his conditioning rather serious. And he talked about it yesterday. He was rather humble about it. He never said, I'm in the best shape of my life. He was asked the question, and he downshifted the assertion in the question to, well, I'm better than I was. I'm better than I was when I left. Okay, good. All right, that's a step in the right direction, but that could also mean a lot of things. But I get the sense from listening to Vic Fangio, I get the sense from listening to Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis that they're happy with where they're at, but they understand they still have a long way to go. And on July 25th, which it was yesterday, I can understand that. Because, I mean, if anyone who took their athletic ability serious at any level and tried to get in shape to play whatever sport, you're not in the best shape until you start playing that sport every day. And in Jordan Davis's case, he was talking about how, I can feel like I'm in the best shape of my life, but until I started going against offensive linemen, there's a whole other thing. That's football shape. You're not recreating that anywhere. Sure, you can lift them weights. Sure, you can run them miles. But until you start squaring up against Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, all reports well out of him when it comes to playing the center position, until you're going up against Lane Johnson, until you're going squaring up against O-linemen in general, you're not going to know what kind of shape you're in just yet. But everything seems to be trending in the right direction. Everything's right where you want it to be at the start of training camp. And that's ultimately the most you can ask for. Like listening and reading about and watching some of the practice on video and all that stuff about Jalen Hurts and him looking crisp, looking ready. What you're not hearing is, there's a lot of confusion between Jalen Hurts and Kellen Moore. Jalen Hurts seems to be off. Jalen Hurts doesn't seem to be focused. You're not hearing that. Those are other things you could be hearing. So for the people that just want to dismiss it and be like, well, what are you going to hear in the first couple of days? Well, you could hear stuff like that. And you're not hearing that. So those are really good signs. The Phillies, we'll get into the Phillies. They're back in South Philadelphia tonight. They start a 6-game homestand, beginning with a 3-game series against the Cleveland Guardians, or as I recently discovered a couple of weeks ago, the Guards. That's what they call them. Okay. So we'll get into that conversation. Trade deadline heating up. There was a trade yesterday in Major League Baseball. We'll get into that conversation. Oh, let it be the tip of the iceberg. Oh, baby. Let that get things going. Hey, Dave, they're pulling the trigger on deals. Let's go, Dave. We got that going on. A lot to dissect today. A lot to get into it. My name is Mark Farzetta. Welcome into the show. Let's start it off with Vic Fangio. And I'll say it one more time. My favorite character so far of training camp. It's been 2 days. My favorite character so far, Vic Fangio. Just to give you a taste of some things that you said yesterday. He spoke for about 15 minutes yesterday. Jeff McClain was asking him a question about swagger and this defense having swagger. Hey, Vic Fangio, Howie Roseman said in the offseason he wants to get guys that kind of have that swagger on defense. Who are some guys that have shown swagger? Vic Fangio's response.
I don't know. I don't know what swagger is to a degree. We just need guys that can play good football, winning football. And when you do that, you have swagger.
Vic Fangio does not suffer fools at all. Oh, God, it was so great. Then I referenced yesterday the minicamp when Vic Fangio was asked about Bryce Huff. And he was asked about Bryce Huff. I was like, hey, Bryce Huff, is here now in 3 years, $52.5 million or whatever. Bryce Huff, he's going to be looking pretty good, right? You get those numbers up where he's not playing 40% of the snaps. He's going to be playing more like 70% of the snaps, right? And he talked about Bryce Huff. He's like, yeah, we'll see how he does. He talked about him like he was an undrafted rookie. And we're like, we'll see how he does. We'll take a flyer on it, He's a top free agent signing this offseason. Coming off a 10-sack season. But yes, as I have referenced it many times, Bryce Huff needs to prove that he is worthy of the promotion. So Vic Fangio yesterday asked about Bryce Huff and what he's bringing to the table as a guy that is going from a 40% snap guy to hopefully a 70% snap guy. And here's how Vic Fangio answered that question.
Well, I think everybody thought he could. And knowing that the floor was just rush downs. But he's taken the challenge on very well. And I do think he has the talent to do what we want him to do. It's just he's got to get familiar with doing it. And so it will be a work in progress. Does he look like he could do it today? No. But I do think eventually he will.
Good Lord. I don't know what's going on with my audio recently. Scoozy. So listening to him, there's the alternate universe that I like to talk about when people want to talk about coach speak. Vic Fangio does not speak coach speak. So in the alternate universe of coach speak, Vic Fangio answers that question with, oh, Bryce Huff's a hard worker. And when I say Vic Fangio, I just mean the average coach. Oh, Bryce Huff comes in here and he's got a lot to offer. I got no doubt he's on the right path to get to being that player. He's working hard to be that guy, and he has so far been taking everything we put on his plate, and he has just excelled. No, he's still in the school of, well, he's never done it at the NFL level, so let's see if he does. Like, he went through college. He went through the pros. Talked about the Jets, obviously. Even with the Jets, he said that. And he's talking about Bryce Huff. Like, yeah, we'll see how he does. We'll see. We will see how he does. Do you think Howie's like, can you talk him up a little bit? Can you say he's doing amazing or something? Can you just talk about that? No, he's not doing amazing yet. So why would I even say he's doing that? Vic Fangio does not suffer fools at all. 100% for it. Then this was another gem from Vic Fangio yesterday. So James Bradbury is being asked to play safety. Okay. I've said many times my stance on it is that James Bradbury has played his last game as an Eagle, and this is a last-ditch effort to try to get anything for him in a trade, show other teams, oh, no, we still have plans for him. He can play safety for us, right? He can still play some quarterback. He can play safety for us. So John McMullen, our friend John McMullen, asked the question yesterday of Vic Fangio, saying, hey, there's been a lot of safeties, or excuse me, a lot of corners that have made the transition to safety. What does James Bradbury show you that will tell you he's going to have success converting from corner to safety? Vic Fangio essentially points out that James Bradbury has an extreme uphill climb ahead of him, according to history.
I mean, you say that you've seen that a lot over the years. The truth is, no, you haven't. The list of guys successfully transitioning from corner to safety is very small with success. There's guys that have done it, but it really wasn't what you want. And we'll see if he can do that. James has got a good feel for football, very knowledgeable, so that will help him in that transition. He's still going to play some corner for us, too.
That's fine. He'll play some corner for you. So his message in that answer is, hey, James Bradbury, a lot of guys have tried this and failed, so good luck. Hope you realize how difficult this is. I hope you understand we're asking you to do something that's damn near impossible. Okay, let's go to the alternate universe again. In the universe of coach speak. All right. Oh, James Bradbury is a veteran player. He knows the task at hand. He's been around long enough where he knows he can make this transition. He's a very versatile player. So I know that James is going to work really hard at that. Not, what he's doing is really hard. Love this. Absolutely love this. And then finally, you want to talk about coach speak? He got asked about the quarterback of the team and the quarterback's leadership. And his response was, again, we'll see. I think it was Elliot Shore-Parks with the question. What have you learned about Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni as far as their leadership goes in the limited time you've been around them? This is not a rip of ESP. Love ESP. This is a question that I would love to hear the answer. Like, what's his take of all the experience he has? What's his take on the quarterback and the head coach of the football team that he is now working with? So leadership. What have you seen, Vic Fangio? He starts off by talking about Jalen.
It's really too early to tell. What I do know is from a player standpoint.
Stop it right. Okay. It's too early to tell. Let's go to the alternate universe of coach speak for a second. Hey, tell me about the leadership of your quarterback. Oh, leadership's great. Leadership, he's a pro's pro. He leads like he's a 20-year veteran. His attitude is everything you want it to be in a quarterback. That's the coach speak. Vic Fangio got no time for that. Hey, what's impressed you about the leadership of Jalen Hurts?
It's really too early to tell. What I do know is from a player standpoint, you can't be a leader unless you're playing up to your abilities. So if you're playing up to your abilities, then you can be a leader if you're working hard enough and guys see it. If a guy that's not playing up to his abilities, kind of lazy, nobody's going to listen to him. So, and as far as Nick goes, he's a proven winning coach in the league, and I think he does a great job with the team.
I'm really going to enjoy Vic Fangio this year. I'm really going to enjoy Vic Fangio this year. And as far as the defense goes, my questions remain the same about Jordan Davis, like getting away from like a he said thing. My questions about the defense don't really lie in Vic Fangio. He is what he is. Like nothing's changing. Like if you don't know what Vic Fangio is going to bring to the table, yes, I'm expecting a year a lot closer to 2022 than what we saw in 2023. I'm expecting good sack numbers without a lot of forced pressure. And I know that's going to drive a lot of people crazy. A passive defense that is going to have, I feel, still a good defensive line. A lot of this rides on Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter living up to what they said at minicamp and even what they reiterated yesterday as far as, hey, Fletcher Cox isn't here anymore. He's not walking through that door. He's not going to be suiting up with us. He's not going to be leading the charge. This is up to Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Milton Williams. Those are going to be the three main guys as your interior defensive linemen, whether you have a nose tackle, a defensive tackle in general, whatever the case might be. Those are going to be the main three guys. And Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter have to be the guys leading that charge because they're the most talented guys. And Milton Williams is a pretty damn good player too. But I think it's going to be about Jordan Davis being more of the Fletcher Cox role, where he's going to be taking up some double teams. He's going to be giving a lot of that push in the middle. And then Jalen Carter is going to be the guy to have that flashy number. I think Jalen Carter is going to be Mr. Sexy. When it comes to the numbers, oh, baby. Jalen Carter is going to have those numbers. Jordan Davis, not so much. But he's going to be doing the things that don't necessarily show up on the box score. If you're a box score guy, Jordan Davis, I don't think is going to impress you too much. But if you're a film guy, and if you watch the line and not the ball at times during games, you're going to be seeing what Jordan Davis can do for this defensive line. I have no doubt that their ability on the inside of that defensive line is great. It's Pro Bowl level, both of them. The question is whether or not they could be like true Pro Bowlers and do it throughout an entire year. Like, this is talking about talent versus production. A guy that's injured all the time, they could have Hall of Fame talent. They're not going to get near the Hall of Fame because they can't stay healthy. To go to the old cliche, best of ability is availability. These guys have to be available, not just in terms of injury and health towards the end of the year, but in terms of conditioning. And that's something we're not going to know until the end of the season. But yeah, go ahead and give me every glimpse of optimism. Give me every hint of optimism that those guys are going to be ready to play. Because if they're not ready to play, here's one thing that hasn't changed. The Eagles, no matter who the Eagles defensive coordinator is, whether it's Jim Johnson, whether it's, it changed with Billy Davis, certainly. But whether it's Jim Johnson, whether it's Jim Schwartz, whether it's Sean Desai or Jonathan Gannon. The Eagles' philosophy, going back to Joe Banner, to Howie Roseman, and all throughout Jeffrey Lurie for the vast majority of his time here, it's all about the defensive line. The game is all about the trenches. And that was something that Andy Reid instilled in this franchise that Joe Banner agreed with. Howie Roseman has kept going. So if your defensive line, and this is certainly the thinnest the interior defensive line has been in recent memory, if you're all about that defensive line, then Vic Fangio is going to need those battles won on the defensive line. If you're all about the trenches, you're going to need those battles won for all 17 games. Not this is a great 10-game stretch by the D-line. No, all 17 games. Starts in Brazil. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter are going to have a lot on their plate when this season starts. And then you have to have, you talk about flashy numbers. Bryce Huff, he's got to be ready for that workload to increase dramatically. He's got to be out there being ready to play on running downs. He can't just be a guy that's going to be out there looking to rush the passer. He's got to be a very versatile defensive end. He's got to bloom into that role. When you look at Josh Sweat, you also have to see him keep it going throughout an entire year and also have him stay healthy. Brandon Graham, we know what we're getting in Brandon Graham, right? Like, we all love Brandon Graham, but let's just make sure we're on the same page here with BG. 35% of the snaps this year. We all love BG, but my general rule of thumb is anytime a player announces their last go-around, yeah, sure, you could plan on him emptying the tank, but I'm not expecting a lot from him. You get anything from him? Leadership, certainly. Off the field stuff, being a model to the rest of the team, being a voice in the locker room, absolutely. But when it comes to everything else, I'm not expecting big numbers from Brandon Graham, but I think we're all on the same page as far as that goes. With the cornerback position, he talked about the battle. Vic Fangio talked about the battle that's going to be had. And one of the things I really loved that he said yesterday as well was when you talk about how crowded a cornerback room is, he talked about how at the end of the year, at the end of training camp, the players all know. Like, all you have to do as a coach, this is the way he posed it. All you have to do as a coach is acknowledge what the players already know. You can't play favorites. The players will know if come training camp, come the end of training camp, Keely Ringo is your best corner. Then he'll be playing. The players will know. The players will know if Quentin Mitchell is worthy of being the number one corner opposite Darius Slay. The players will know if it's Cooper DeJean, if he comes back from injury and lights the world on fire. The players will know. The players will know if it's Isaiah Rodgers. By the way, on that note, interesting thing on the field yesterday, I mentioned the depth chart for yesterday's practice. Isaiah Rodgers was the one opposite Darius Slay. Yesterday, it was Keely Ringo. Not abnormal for guys to be getting different looks with the ones, and that's something Vic Fangio talked about yesterday. He wants to make sure that guys that are presumed to be third on the depth chart are still getting reps with the ones, with the known ones. Good. You should do that. That's a pretty damn good idea. So when it comes to this cornerback room, he's talking about how, well, yeah, it should be pretty easy by the end of training camp as to who the number one guys are, and all the players will know. All I have to do as a head coach, all I have to do as a defensive coordinator is acknowledge what everyone already knows. Well, Quentin Mitchell has really come shut out of a cannon, this kid. He's the number one guy. Everybody knows it. All I have to do is make it official, writing on the depth chart. If you're someone that is concerned about Howie Roseman dealing with game day decisions, I don't know. Howie might be able to make good suggestions on game day, but I doubt very much Vic Fangio is coming in here being like, yeah, Howie, tell me what to do on game day. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think Vic Fangio is here for that. So if you're someone that wants to know about how much pull Howie Roseman has, I'm sure he can drop in his 2 cents, but they didn't pine over Vic Fangio just to boss him around and bring him here to Philadelphia. They brought him in here because they wanted that experience. Then they brought him here so they could go, all right, a guy we could trust defensively. He knows what he's doing. Offensively speaking, and that's the second part of that answer. Oh, yeah, Nick's been great. But listening to go back to the clip there from Vic Fangio about Jalen Hurts. So he gets asked about the leadership of a quarterback. Yeah, too early to tell. He's going to be a lot of fun this year, folks. If stuff hits the fan, which I don't think it will, like I expect the Eagles to have a really good I expect a really good season. If stuff hits the fan, Vic Fangio is going to be a good time. The man does not suffer fools. Does not suffer fools. When it comes to accountability, I'll give you Devin White first. When it comes to accountability, Devin White was asked about the type of accountability that Vic Fangio brings to the table. And here's how Devin White described it.
Call you out. Call you out one-on-one, call you out in front of the team, tell you that this not good enough or, this piss poor, this, say it again? Oh, he called you out by your name. He name, number, whatever the first thing come to his mind when we watching the film. We watch film together after practice in the evening, and he'll let you know, yesterday it was me on the downhill run. Jalen Carter got one on a block where he didn't do the right thing, but he also praises people too when they doing the technique the right way. He just not just a drag you through the mud type of coach. He pull you up when you're doing something good because the next person can learn from the good that another person doing. JD had a good practice yesterday. He was bending his legs, and that was one thing Coach Vic, he kept saying, like, when your legs are bent and you in this type of stance, you gonna have a good down. And he was showing that throughout the film. So it's not just all about bad, but he will correct you in front of everybody. And you don't want that. That's not a good feeling, but you'll take it, you accept it, and you get better from it.
He'll point out the good as well. So you love both sides of that. But when you're talking about the film room, you're talking about getting these guys in that film room, and you're talking about correcting their mistakes, but also setting an example for the way you want things done. I mean, again, talk about old school, good school, whatever. That is 100% good school. And to hear the way that a guy like Devin White is taking that, having played for another guy like I mentioned earlier in Todd Bowles, that's a great thing, because that's also going to set the table for guys that maybe it might be rubbing the wrong way. And if Devin White's taking on that true leadership role with the defense, and you need someone to translate from a tough defensive coordinator to a guy that might be used to patty cake, well, then it seems like Devin White will be a good communicator in that role. It seems like he'll be able to translate for a hard-nosed defensive coordinator to a guy that needs a little more emotional support. So I like that. The other thing is Jordan Davis. Last thing for you. Jordan Davis yesterday, when he was addressing the media, also talked about how he handles Vic Fangio.
A little bit of that throwback old school mentality. Do you enjoy that, and what's it been like personally?
Yeah, I mean, it's all business. That's what I'm used to. Kirby Smart, even my high school coach, I said it before, they're all business. And it's all football. Like, I'm going to go to Vic and, ask him how his day was, how his family is and stuff like that. He's worried about football. He's worried about winning games. That's what I'm worried about. We in the business of winning games. And any coach that's down with that is good with me. So, I'm not going to be, I got my family for that, to be more personable. And, I got the player development team to be more personal with. But at the end of the day, Vic is going to put us in the best position to win games. And at the end of the day, our job is to make sure that we do the techniques and the stuff and work within the scheme to win those games. And then after that, he could be the happiest guy alive. Like, all we care about is winning. The W is the most important stat on that sheet.
There we go. I don't know what's going on with the end of all these clips, but my apologies. So listening to him talk about Vic Fangio yesterday in terms of what he brings to the table, there's no distractions. Like, people will talk about throughout a season, could this be a distraction? Could that be a distraction? The only thing that'll be a distraction is not playing well. And that gets back to the first clip I played for you, which was swagger. It's like talking about swagger or talking about leadership. If you're not winning, if you're not playing well, nobody wants to hear you. The thing it reminded me of was, I don't want to throw the guy under the bus, but I remember talking to a player back in the day of the McNabb era Eagles. And it was a game where, I think it was in Minnesota, Brian Dawkins wasn't playing in the game. He was hurt. I think he had a stinger. I think it's the year he had that stinger. And he was on the sideline yelling at players, like trying to get them hyped up, trying to get them ready to play. And after the game, I remember talking to this player, who was a starter, by the way. This is Brian Dawkins, future Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins. And the starter was telling me, man, if you're not playing, nobody wants to hear from you. And my thought was, this is Brian Dawkins. He can talk whatever he wants. And people were like, no, I don't care. And I'm like, it blew my damn mind. And when you talk about guys that could be struggling, if Jalen Hurts is struggling, everyone's going to look at him like, dude, you handle your business before you try to correct me on mine. If Devin White is struggling and he's trying to be a leader, a vocal leader especially, mind your damn business, man. You take care of your own stuff before you come over here and start correcting what I'm doing. Like, nobody wants to hear from that guy. Like, you haven't even taken care of your own house yet, man. And Jordan Davis talking about Vic Fangio not wanting to deal with the outside noise or even talk about, what he had for dinner or how the family's doing or whatever. No, he's just concentrating on winning. Because we learned this last year better than anything. Winning is the best deodorant. There's a lot of things that stink. A lot of things aren't going well, but just enough right amount of deodorant covers up a lot of that stank. And we learned that through the first 11 games of last year. Oh, well, they're still winning, so that's good, right? Well, you're right. It's not bad that they're winning. It's good that they're winning, but are they convincing you that they're a true Super Bowl contender? Because they're not convincing me they're a true Super Bowl contender. And Jordan Davis talking about Vic Fangio and bringing that kind of focus in. We're all for it because we don't want that outside noise either. So that's what I have for you for yesterday. I mentioned Isaiah Rodgers not starting. It went that honor yesterday went to Keely Ringo. So good. Cam Jurgens was able to get out on some blocks yesterday. It's good to see that. Jalen Hurts still looking crisp through 2 days. Call it what you will, but beats the opposite side of that story. He's not. He can't throw. Oh, great. So yeah, everything seems to be falling into place as far as what's going on the field. So that's all good stuff. Baseball wise, Phillies, like I said, they start their 3-game series with the Cleveland Guardians tonight. Look forward to that series getting underway and the Phillies getting back at it. For those concerned about deadline moves already, deadline's coming up in 4 days. We had our first somewhat big deal yesterday. The Miami Marlins made a deal with the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are getting a whole bevy of players healthy again. The Marlins, MLB.com, getting this off MLB.com. Marlins made the first move at the trade deadline. They did it last night, sending A.J. Puck to the Diamondbacks in exchange for a pair of their top 30 prospects. Corner infielder Davison De Los Santos and Andrew Pinter. So an outfielder and infielder. It was 2 of their top 30 prospects. De Los Santos, 21 years old. He was ranked 14th MLB pipeline on Arizona's MLB pipeline. So not even a top prospect, but one of their top 30. I think top prospect, I'm thinking top 3. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking of. So they improved their bullpen. And the Phillies have not yet. That's the way that's looking right now. So hopefully the Phillies get underway. A couple of names mentioned by Scott Lauber yesterday. I want to make sure I get you guys. I saw Jason Stark say yesterday, I think it was with Mike Missinelli, saying that forget about the forget about the big names. So I would assume that's Luis Robert Jr. I would assume that's Brent Rooker. I would assume that's Mason Miller. Forget about the big names. Dave Dombrowski is not going big game hunting. He's not going star hunting. Okay. He could be going after Carlos Estevez of the LA Angels. Kyle Finnegan, we talked about him yesterday, of the Washington Nationals. I think it was Sean Kilroy asked me about him. And then Tanner Scott, the Miami Marlins. The Marlins are wheeling and dealing. Let's get in on all the action. Let's see here. Let's get into the show. First, let me tell you about the people in the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code FARZI, and take advantage of all they have to offer with the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to your phone. Use promo code FARZI. Get $20 off your first purchase. How about PHL Sports Nation? Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how we're doing today. Sean Gillespie, what's going on? Cameron Ireland, what's going on? Cameron, Vic Fangio is so old school. I love it. I love it as well. Buddy Christ, what's popping? Sean Gillespie, this is a good way to put it. Fangio is an actual coach, which is what this defense needs. Hell yeah. Sean Gillespie, damn, he was with the Stars? Did I know that? Yeah, man. That's where he went down to the Palladium. That's where he was talking about the coaching at the vet and then going to the Palladium and like getting chicken cutlets. Sean Kilrain, what's popping? WC13. Can Dean just excel at special teams because it seems any hope to make at linebacker is slim? Or impact linebacker is slim. Yeah, I still want to see him outside linebacker next to Devin White. Excuse me. Good morning, BH. Good morning, James Alexander III. Good morning, Vic Fangio should just stick to 4-3 defense. I think pretty much it is going to be a 4-3 defense. Jalen Carter should have an all-pro season. Hell yeah. Ooh, wait. Fangio is giving Dougie P vibes? What, in terms of look? Fangio, breath of fresh air. Ooh, Sean Kilrain. Fangio is like a Jim Johnson, no-nonsense coach and knows how to use your talent the best of your ability, Farzy. That's of all the things people have said about Jim Johnson, one of my favorite things is that he would just look at what you did great and then just exploit the hell out of it. And him coaching Brian Dawkins throughout his career, a little step slower later on, but could still hit, could still be aggressive, could still play in the box a lot. Okay, come down. You're going to play in the box a lot more. Come on down. Jeremiah Trotter getting a little long in the tooth in his career. All right, come on down. You're going to be a third defensive tackle, kind of. Brilliant stuff. My puppy keeps pushing me off the. Oh, Jason A with the puppy! Congratulations again. That's beautiful. Love how Fangio is. So do I. Ah, Sean Kilrain. Moro Jomo. Who was it? Was it Mosher? I think Jeff Mosher had a Jomo as his potential breakout guy. So that's good. Me, I said. Yes, good morning. Vic Carter and Davis to the next level. They'll be excellent. I hope so. Is Kenny Gainwell going to start? Probably not. With the running back room being what it is with Saquon Barkley, NBAJ. Thanks for joining us. Oh, I really don't think that the rest of the league's fans are relishing at what a great coordinator Vic Fangio is. How polished the defense is. We're going to surprise a lot of offenses. I certainly hope so. April. Good morning, April. Babs. Hello, Babs. Nice to see you. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Phillies and Guardians, 6:40 start time tonight in South Philadelphia. Ben Lively gets the start against Christopher Sanchez, lefty versus righty. Lively putting himself, having himself a good season, 8-6 on the year with a 3.57 ERA. Guardians come in as one of the few 60-win teams in baseball. They have 3 fewer wins than your 64-win Phillies. Christopher Sanchez 7-5 on the season with a 2.97 ERA. Going up against Ben Lively tonight. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hey, bonus me today on Fox 29. Headed over to Fox 29. Do the Bolds segment over there. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See you tonight after Phillies Guardians on Locked On Sports Philadelphia. Don't miss it. Like and subscribe to the Farzy Show YouTube channel. Like and subscribe to Jacob Media, and like and subscribe to the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Catch me there after the Phillies game tonight for the postcast. See you guys then. Have a great rest of your day. See ya.